I've literally not talked about it to anyone in my life, and now I'm sharing this on the internet. Welcome to Style with Audrey. In today's video, we're talking about period underwear. The most famous one has got to be THINX. THINX was founded in 2013, so they have been around for 7 years, and they have a big following of loyal customers. I have always been interested in the concept of changing out my period routine into more convenient and environmentally friendly way. Just in the US, every year there are 12 billion pads and 7 billion tampons being wasted, thrown to the landfill, and really bad for the ocean. Today I'm reviewing 3 products from THINX: Super High Waist, Super Hip Hugger, and just a normal hip hugger. All of these are clean. I've actually used them, but obviously washed and cleaned them. Oh, there's a bug. I'm sitting outside today because I am inspired by nature. Obviously, I live in a concrete jungle. This is not nature. We have a little bit of a bush situation going on here. Kind of fitted to the theme of staying eco-friendly. I understand that THINX is definitely not for everyone. Even on the website, they mentioned that some people use THINX to completely change up their period routine. Some people combine THINX with their existing period products. So now I'm going to walk you through my entire cycle of my period and how I used THINX, what are my thoughts on the pros and the cons, and then at the end I will tell you why I would recommend or maybe not recommend THINX. I read a lot of reviews, I saw a bunch of YouTube videos about THINX. A lot of the common feedback was you really have to prepare. 1 pair of THINX underwear or even 2 pairs are definitely not enough for most people. So for my case, I know my first 2 days of my period are usually my kind of heavy days. So I constantly need to change up my pads when I was using pads. So I know that I need at least a few pairs of THINX underwear. Now the good thing about the website is you could do a survey to have them recommend you the types of underwear that you would need. On all of their product pages, you can actually select which period products you usually use. So for my case, I picked pads, and then for each product I can see how many pads worth of blood it could absorb. I decided to purchase 5 pairs of THINX underwear. So the first one is the Super High Waist. It actually goes above my belly button. It is really comfortable and actually really pretty. It has this kind of mesh material on the side. I think it just feels really nice. It doesn't feel like you're wearing an adult diaper or anything like that. The bottom kind of looks like just a cushiony fabric. Comparing that to pads, this is way better. The next one that I picked up, the Super Hip Hugger. This one is not as high waist. This goes basically right below my belly button. I would say it's a mid-rise fit. I also like the lace detail on top. Again, really pretty and super comfortable. This feels slightly less cushiony than the Super High Waist. This is one of their best sellers on the site. She got 2 pairs of the Super Hip Hugger. Then I got 2 pairs of the Hip Hugger. They definitely feel the most like just your normal underwear, or I guess a bikini bottom, because of the slinky material. It's pretty much the exact same fit as the Super Hip Hugger, and I love the nude color. The inside is still black and you still have a little bit of cushiony at the bottom, but they definitely do not feel as thick as the high waist or the Super Hip Hugger. Now let's go into every single day of my period and see how these undies hold up. On day 1, I was a little bit nervous because it was the first time that I'm trying out THINX underwear, and obviously I was also really excited because for the first time ever, I don't have to use any period products. I can just wear my underwear. Now the good thing about trying out THINX during this time, during working from home, is I'm working from home. I don't have to worry too much about any accidents, which it did happen. The first thing that I tried on was the Super High Waist. I only wore it for 5 hours and it leaked a little bit on pants that I was wearing, so I had to take everything off and wash it. Here comes the fun part. On THINX website, they mentioned that you could either hand wash or machine wash your THINX underwear. If you decide to do machine wash, you don't even need to rinse off the blood. You can throw that in with your normal clothes. I'm not sure if I would ever feel comfortable doing that. I would definitely not mix my period underwear with blood on it with my normal clothes. If you're a little bit worried about putting your THINX underwear directly in the washer, then what you can do is to just run your underwear under lukewarm water. And obviously you will see bloody water. It ran about a minute without the water being like red and bloody. I also tend to hand wash my underwear anyway because it is best to preserve elasticity of your underwear. The other thing I would say was because the material is cushiony, a little bit thick, I think it took pretty much 24 hours for that pair to dry. After that, I changed into my super hip hugger. I wore it for only 2.5 hours, and again, it leaked on both sides, basically along the seams. So I would imagine if the bottom part is even wider, then the leak probably wouldn't happen. I noticed the leak after 2.5 hours of wearing it, and I was like, oh my god, I have to wash my underwear again. At that point, I was a little bit annoyed because I didn't think about the fact that you have to constantly wash these period underwear. Unlike your pads or your tampons that you just throw them away and never have to think about the used ones. If you are truly looking for just pure convenience, I don't think THINX is going to be your best friend, but for me, I was working from home. I'm still working from home, so it didn't really bother me. Then I changed into my other super hip hugger. So it's the exact same pair. This time I was able to wear it for 4 hours and it didn't leak. It just has to do with exactly how my flow goes, and on the first day it's usually kind of, they all come at once and then they kind of slow down a little bit. This is so weird describing my period to the internet. You're the first to know. After 4 hours of wearing my second super hip hugger, I then changed to my hip hugger, which at that point was the 4th pair of THINX underwear that I was wearing on just day 1. So I wore my beige hip hugger for another 3 hours, and that was pretty much right before my bedtime, and there was no leak or anything. I was at that point a little bit concerned that because I only bought 5 pairs of underwear, and at that point I was wearing 4 pairs already, I was just a little bit worried that some of the ones that I washed wouldn't be dry for the next day. Luckily, I still have my last pair of hip hugger, which I wore at night. Now, this is a risky move because sometimes I have a lot going on at night. Sometimes there was nothing. On that night, I was really lucky. I don't think I actually bleeded much on my first night at all. For day 2, the first thing I did was changing into another pair of THINX underwear. So this time I changed back to my super hip hugger. So I wore my super hip hugger for about 4 hours and nothing happened. It was great. I changed again back to my hip hugger because I think the one that I washed on day 1 dried first, just because the hip huggers are much thinner than any of the other ones, so they dry pretty quickly. Then I wore my super hip hugger for another 4 hours. Then I wore my hip hugger for 4 hours. Now this was unintentional. I knew that the hip huggers were really thin. I was probably not supposed to wear it for that long, especially on day 2. So I definitely saw leaking, and that was my own fault. I should have changed it more frequently. So then I changed into my super high waist, and I wore that for 2 hours because I was going to bed and I thought I would change up to a brand new pair. So I wore my super hip hugger for the night of my day 2. For the next 3 days, including today, I have only been changing up my underwear twice a day. Pretty much just rotating between my 2 hip huggers, just because my last few days I don't really have much going on. So to sum up, there are a few pros and cons for the THINX underwear. All of this depends on your period situation. If you are the lucky ones that only have 3 days of period and there was not much going on, then just buy the THINX. If you are like me, or if you tend to have multiple days of pretty heavy flow, you might need to first calculate how many pairs of THINX you would actually need. I probably could have gone for a couple more pairs just so I don't have to wash them right away, because I feel like I was constantly washing underwear on my first 2 days of period. It was really easy to do because I was working from home, but whenever I'm going back to the office, first of all, I would need to get a waterproof pouch or something to put my THINX underwear in, which I haven't really thought about the logistics of using the THINX underwear when you are out or when you're traveling and it's not that convenient for you to do laundry every day. As disgusting as it sounds of collecting your dirty underwear throughout the day, the good thing is they don't smell at all. So the big pros of THINX underwear is super eco-friendly. It feels really nice. For the cons, you do have to either wash it pretty frequently or buy enough pairs so that you don't have to wash it so often. I don't think it's really a money saver. Let's do the math. I use about 2 giant bags of pads every year, and I think they cost around $40. And each pair of THINX underwear is somewhere in between 25, 30, 35. When I bought 5 pairs of THINX underwear, I'm spending the money that I would have spent on pads for about 3 or 4 years. Each THINX underwear technically only lasts for about 4 or 5 years. Essentially, I'm not really saving money by buying 5 pairs of THINX. Do I recommend THINX underwear to anyone? Yes and no. It depends on how much money you want to spend. If you really want to not use any other period products, then you really need to calculate how many pairs do you need per day, and then multiply that by 2, so that at least you can collect your daily use of THINX underwear, wash it every day, and then for the next day you still have a full set ready to go without having to wait for the washed ones to dry. If you are always on the go, if you don't feel comfortable carrying 4 or 5 pairs of spare underwear with you as you walk around or go to work, then THINX is not for you. For me, I think I will continue to use my THINX underwear. I am really enjoying it. It makes me feel better too that I am not contributing to this huge pad and tampon waste every year. I probably buy a couple more pairs so that I don't have to wash it every 4 or 5 hours on my first couple of days of my period. If you're interested in more fun fashion videos, subscribe to my channel. I upload 2 new videos every single week, and I will see you in one of these ones. Bye!